Welcome to OTW Spotlight. I'm TJ Halverson, and today we're joined by Patrick O'Donnell and Ian Helmar from NanoHive Medical, a company that's addressing spinal fusion challenges with bioactive 3D printed titanium implants. Patrick and Ian, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us, TJ. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, Patrick, for the audience who may not be familiar with NanoHive Medical, why don't you give us the elevator pitch? Make us familiar. What does your company do?
Well, so NanoHive is a leader in intelligent implants and specifically 3D printed titanium interbody devices. We're very focused on this one area. We want to do one thing better than anyone else. That's kind of our the whole elements of our focus. But in terms of an elevator pitch, there's not a single elevator pitch. When you have 30 seconds to capture surgeons' genuine interest, preparation, and ability to kind of crystallize a lot of the detail is essential. So the objective is really to get to the next meeting for our sales guys, and when we have the opportunity to speak to surgeons, because we're in a highly commoditized space, surgeons are very busy. And so really getting to a more comprehensive conversation is the objective of an elevator pitch. So to that end, we train our sales team to tailor their elevator pitch to drill into one or two of the several key features and benefits of our technology and our modular systems that are based on the insight into the surgeon's practice and the products of his or her choice. So for example, if we're trying to convert a surgeon who uses a product that is particularly stiff due to the design of the device, we'll focus on our modulus or our stiffness data. So that's how we approach surgeons initially.
Before we dive further into the commercial success you guys have seen over the last few years here, let's talk more about the technology. And Ian, one of the co-founders and VP of R&D for NanoHive, let's dive into some of the technical aspects of the technology. You've talked about these 4 pillars of fusion success for many, many years. Why don't you break that down for us? What makes NanoHive fundamentally different from traditional titanium implants?
Well, it all starts with our lattice structure, and we coined the term these 4 pillars of stiffness, imaging, ongrowth, and ingrowth to describe all the unique benefits of our implants. But when we began to develop these devices, we started with the lattice structure. So we didn't start with a shape or clinical requirements. We started with a lattice structure that was going to perform the best mechanically, and then also shaped that to provide all of the other benefits that are baked into the 4 pillars.
So help the surgeon audience understand a little bit more about that soft titanium lattice. Why does that matter clinically? What are you seeing in terms of some of the patient outcomes?
So for low stiffness, we've all talked about for a long time in the industry, Wolff's Law and a low stiffness interbody. Wolff's Law isn't really accurately applied to a spine fusion cage, but when we talk about bone healing, we know that when bone sees stress and strain during the healing process, it's going to form a stronger structure. And so our implant being low stiffness and our lattice being low stiffness, combined with our independent end plates construction, is key to having a strong fusion. Our lattice structure uniquely enables the ability to have a low stiffness interbody because it can handle the fatigue loads of the healing process without any kind of breaking or structural weakness.
Now, what about this subtractive surface treatment that you guys have?
So our surface treatment is key to our ongrowth and our ingrowth elements of our 4 pillars. When we 3D print the devices, we get great microstructure, but to get an excellent nano surface texture, we apply this extra step to our lattice. And it's applied to every surface of the 3D printed interbody. So it's not just on the outside, it's not just on the bone contact, it's on every single surface of the lattice structure, providing great properties for bone growth.
And the last pillar you guys have is about your imaging advantages. So the diagnostic image quality. Yeah, how significant is that compared to some of the traditional titanium implants? That's always been an issue. You know, help clarify that for us.
Yeah, so our lattice structure is about 30% solid by density, and because we have
Hmm.
this really efficient mechanical structure, we can have that very low density and still have a strong implant. And when you talk about having good imaging, it's important to have low density, but it's also important to have a uniform low density across the whole implant, because that's what
Hmm.
really drives X-ray or a CT scan to be able to show bone growth inside of the implant, or to be able to see the bony structures around the implant during implantation.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, thanks for clarifying that. That's really great information. So let's shift now back to you, Patrick. Let's talk about some of the real world results, some of the market adoption. What are you seeing, and why are surgeons making the switch once they've tried NanoHive?
So, great question, particularly for a small company that has to compete against the large companies and many others. We have a growing base of very loyal surgeon customers, about 50% neurosurgeon, 50% orthopedic surgeons. And our base is very sticky due to the buy in of these surgeons into the lattice technology that Ian just covered: micro, macro porosity, independent end plates, modulus. The biomechanical and biological principles that our design and product features address, and the fusion device philosophy, the good experiences in the OR with our instrumentation and the quality of the imaging, as Ian mentioned, and then in the end, the good clinical results. So the same surgeons using our products today were using our products 5, 6 years ago, and still customers today, and we have not lost customers just about ever. I don't think, and since I've been with the company
Really?
since 2021, um,
Wow.
due to the technology or the clinical experiences. So when surgeons have the experience to use our technology, our instrumentation, and then follow the patients for a while, they really buy into what we're all about,
Hmm.
philosophically and technologically.
Well, that's great to hear. So, can you get a little bit more specific? Is there a story of a surgeon that's tried the technology and then demonstrably said, "Hey, this is why I'm making the switch. This is incredible because of X, Y, or Z."
Yeah, I think there's several stories and like that. Many of them are captured in post-market clinical data that we've collected and working in conjunction with these same surgeons.
Hmm.
I mean, as we drill deeper into this point about adoption and penetration in the market, we're selling in over 30 states. About to put some more focus in geographies we have not put much effort into historically at all. We've tripled our surgeon base in the last 18 months, and we are attracting more and more high caliber distributors. So as a result, we're on track to have approximately 120% year over year growth for this third quarter, and we're trending towards over 50% growth for the year. Now, we're still small, and we were in a build to buy model for several years until we pivoted in 2024. But the trajectory is really great. And when we have the opportunity, TJ, to sit down in front of surgeons and tell our story, we have a close to 100% conversion rate, or at least 100%
Wow.
trial rate. Um, where
Wow.
we run into sales obstacles or otherwise road bumps to our growth, it tends to be centered around market access or just the commercial scale of our organizations.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
otherwise, the attraction to our story and the opportunity to convert and grow has really been excellent for us.
Yeah, I can't think of another company that has a close to 100%, you know, even trial rate. That's incredible, and those are strong growth numbers in such a challenging market. What do you think? If you had to point to one of the major milestones that you've achieved this year, what are you most proud of? And I know we have a quarter left, but what has the team accomplished that you want to promote and congratulate them for even in this past year?
Yeah, well, we've invested in and produced numerous post-market clinical studies. That's a lot of effort for a small team. Everybody's wearing multiple hats every day.
Hmm.
These are smaller single-arm studies for our cervical standalone, our A-lift standalone, our cervical and T-lift devices that have combined to accumulate data in over 200 patients. And the clinical outcomes are consistently impressive. When I
Hmm.
ask, for example, when I have the opportunity to sit down in front of one of our surgeon customers, what is it you like about our technology? The theme to the responses speak both to their immediate intraoperative impression and then also their longer term impression. Intraoperatively, the surgeons rave about the aggressiveness of the end plate teeth. When they put our implant in, it does not move, as well as the aggressiveness of our screws. They love that. The instruments work very well. They comment on, but also almost always they remark upon the brilliant imaging due to our low density titanium. So
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
surgeons that have been using our products for a year or up to 7 years, they always mention that their patients are doing well and the clinical outcomes are consistently positive.
Mm, that's great. What are you looking forward to most in 2026? Any major announcements or plans?
What we're most excited about heading into 2026 is well, we have an interesting product launch in the new Hive oblique interior lateral system, and I'm eager to see the uptake of the technologies for surgeons that want an easier, safer solution for inserting our cages into L4, L3, L4, L4, L5 anteriorly. And we also have a few line extensions that will continue to open up additional opportunities with new surgeons and new distributors. We're also excited to embark upon now a Series D capital raise to fund the development of our sensor technology and support continued commercial growth. That'll be the use of proceeds predominantly.
Mm,
So the
mm,
company's growth,
really?
we're at that exciting stage just above the blade on the hockey stick. Um, and we believe 2026 will be another exceptional year for the company.
Hmm. Hmm. Those are great, great plans. How have you positioned NanoHive against some of the larger players, who have easier access into facilities? What's been the competitive advantage when you're in that sales conversation?
Yeah, and we're not just competing against their products; we're competing in the battle for distribution every day. And our distributors want to be the brokers of innovation to their surgeons. So um, innovation, innovation, innovation for small companies. The market only rewards innovation, and so not only innovation in terms of our 3D titanium interbody fusion device portfolio, but also in terms of instrumentation, in terms of packaging, and these elements taken together in terms of innovation. We speak in terms of innovations of our systems,
Mm,
not only to meet the surgeon's needs, but we're also very focused on meeting the needs of the facilities as well, particularly as these procedures migrate to outpatient and ambulatory care
mhm,
surgery centers more and
mhm,
more.
mhm,
Um, when we begin, this is kind of an interesting thought for you, TJ. When we begin the new product development process, but also line extensions, we'll not
mm,
bring a product to market unless we feel it will be the best in category, the best in category. And two, we're always thinking in terms of the modularity of our systems. Our
mhm.
anterior cervical and lumbar standalone systems are excellent examples of this best in category modular systems.
Yeah, those are distinct competitive advantages. And speaking of creating that competitive advantage, you're going to be showcasing all of the technologies you do have at NAS and CSRS this year. What are your main objectives at each of those conferences, and what should a surgeon expect when they visit your booth?
The conferences are a great opportunity for a company, particularly a smaller company, to build awareness in general. And for us, build awareness of our Hive Soft Titanium brand. We're no longer a best kept secret, but it's also true that there are still many surgeons and distributors that are not familiar with our technology. So the conferences present an opportunity to expand our awareness and establish new relationships. A lot of emphasis will be placed on our best in category anterior standalone modular systems. And we'll also selectively be exhibiting our pipeline products, near term additions to our portfolio, such as the oblique anterior lateral cage. And then beyond that, you know, we want to leverage the increasing B2B environment of these conferences to cultivate and broaden our distribution network partnerships. We want to be the
Mm-hmm.
easiest company that our distributors work with. And so establishing these partnerships and broadening them into markets that we've underpenetrated or not even approached is essential.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to exhibiting, we're hosting a reception that will give our distributors and their surgeons an opportunity to learn a little bit more about our smart sensor development program, as well as our portfolio of devices and instruments. So we're really looking forward to both NAS and CSRS in the fourth quarter this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. So, Patrick and Ian, let me ask you this. You've both been in this industry long enough to see a lot of changes. Where do you see the spinal fusion market going in the next 5 years? And how do you see NanoHive competing in that market?
Yeah. I mean, that's the big question. So for NanoHive, our mission is to be the leader in innovation of bioactive intelligent implants.
Hmm.
And this is the merging, really, when you say, what does that mean? This is the merging of optimal biomechanical properties in biologics with technology that can capture data while enhancing the patient's participation in their own recovery process. So one of our key initiatives towards that mission is the development of a patient-powered sensor technology embedded into our soft titanium lattice technology. This development effort provides for what we believe may be the next great technology leap in spinal interbody fusion. You know, TJ, and you've been at this for a while, as have we. Every few years, the industry has a particular technology that is the hot topic, going way back to polyaxial screws, then threaded fusion cages, BMP2, expandable cages, robotics, etc. I probably missed a few along the way. But the current hot topic is AI. And this is particularly unique because it's not specific or limited to spine or orthopedics or medical devices, but it touches all in every aspect of everybody's life, somewhere in the world. And so the question for entrepreneurs becomes, how do we get technology to truly serve humanity? That's a big question. So when I
Yeah.
bring that thought down to 3D printed titanium interbody spinal fusion technology, our view of the future of innovation emphasizes that new technologies not only must demonstrate an improvement to patient care, including virtual care, and of course, clinical outcomes, but provide for the culmination of usable data that can leverage AI's amazing capabilities. And with those capabilities, the innovations have the potential to also deliver cost efficiencies to various stakeholders that are all involved in the spine patient's episode of care. So it really starts with the patient, but it includes the surgeon, the hospital systems, facilities, the payers, the GPOs, the IDNs, and the common thread of all these stakeholders is they want better information, more meaningful information and frequent data collection that can ultimately be utilized as a predictive tool is essential to our vision.
Mm. Great answer. Comprehensive answer. Now, Ian, what are your thoughts from your background, your experience in developing so many of these technologies over the years?
So when we started, we were on the leading edge of additive titanium interbody devices, and over the past 7 or 8 years, we've seen a massive clinical shift to using these additive titanium implants and seeing the clinical benefits of those. And so, we look to continue to optimize and provide the best solutions in additively manufactured titanium implants. And that's what our technology enables. But as Patrick mentioned, we want to move towards a new frontier in smart implants, and to provide an actual way to assess fusion from a diagnostic data standpoint is the ultimate goal. Now we're going to start with providing clinical sensor information, and we're going to be able to show the load that's on the interbody, and as that fusion occurs, that load is going to decrease. And so we hope to be able to not only show whether or not fusion has occurred, but also the quality of that fusion. And that really comes back to not only this innovation in sensor technology, but our core technology of this low stiffness interbody and the independent end plates construction. Being able to provide a device that can flex and respond to biologic loads, while still providing the necessary support and rigidity for fusion is critical. When we take that beyond, the individual patient care, I hope that we can provide a platform that will allow surgeons and payers and every stakeholder to start to understand what surgeries are effective and what surgeries are less effective. And so, that's a great need in spine care is a standard of care. And I hope that providing data to the providers that will allow them to have a more qualitative assessment or more quantitative assessment of their procedures and their operations and their patients' outcomes will be a huge step forward in achieving that standard of care and ultimately improving spine care for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. I think that data and by harnessing this power of AI that we've already started to see in other industries, we'll finally be able to get to that point of enough data to make informed decisions that can create that new standard. Those are
That's it.
great comments, both of you. So as we're wrapping up, Patrick, if there's one thing that you want spine surgeons to remember about NanoHive Medical from this conversation, what would it be?
Oh boy, just one thing. Well, so we work very closely with surgeons to that have embraced our technology, both philosophically but also technologically. And we're going to continue to do so. We're confident that you'll see outstanding clinical results if past is prologue, based on the 100 or so surgeons that are currently using our technology. So we hope that you give us a chance. We're starting to expand our penetration, not just in surgeons that use titanium 3D printed or otherwise titanium implants, but also PEEK. So I would ask that these surgeons that at one point in their career converted to PEEK because of the stiffness or modulus advantages, that they take a look at our technology. I think they'll be very pleased.
So for those that are attending NAS or CSRS in this fourth quarter, how can they connect with you and the rest of the team at NanoHive?
We'll be exhibiting. We have a booth. Also, they can work through their distributor or sales rep to connect with our region managers and arrange a time to speak one-on-one with both myself and Ian will be at the conference in addition to our region managers. So those are the best kind of conversations. We love engaging with the distributors and the surgeons. Too often we spend a lot of time doing other things to build the company, but we always learn something new and useful when we're in front of our customers. So we look forward to those opportunities.
Great. And there will be additional information about NanoHive in any of the notes or the links and descriptions for these videos as well, so they can find additional ways to connect with your team. But Patrick, Ian, thank you so much for joining us on OTW Spotlight. For more information, you can visit nanohive.com and be sure to stop by their booth at NAS and CSRS this year.
Thank you, TJ.
Thanks for having us.